Parasyte the Maxim, episode 13, Hello Sadness. Now, first off, I do have to apologize for this being over a full week late. I'm suddenly having the issue with this show that I normally have with the Kana Kill, which is, even though it's set to record every single week, and every time I check it, it says it has a scheduled recording, it isn't recording all of a sudden. The Kana Kill is not recording, and all of a sudden Parasyte has stopped recording. So, when I'm not here, I just missed the episode because there's no Cartoon Network where I'm at when I'm not here at home. So, didn't get to see this episode, wasn't really at home much last week, so I didn't really get to check on demand until I got back today. And the last time I checked it, which was, I think, Tuesday, it still wasn't on there, or maybe even Monday. Which is the same. It's Monday right now, and same thing, or technically it's Tuesday, because it's like 12:30 or 1 a.m. Same thing though, it's not on there, but I'll be able to, the next review won't be a full week late, but I do have to wait until like the middle of this week to watch the most recent episode. But I did enjoy this one. I thought it was pretty cool getting a lot of different stuff that I wasn't expecting. Mostly is, of course, the fact that Shinichi gets busted by the end of this episode, and, you know, Ryoko, or whatever her name is, I always forget, but I believe Ryoko, her for hiring like a PI, I didn't expect that. I didn't think that she would need someone to investigate them, but I guess the fact of the matter is they still don't really know what's going on with Shinichi, so she wants to see, like, what exactly is happening. And his experience, him as an experiment in general, actually, is very unique. Even if there was another person where their hand, is infected by the parasite rather than their brain, it would still be different from his situation because of him being killed, or, nearly killed in that other episode. So he's a very, very unique circumstance, and they don't even know all the facts about it because, they're kind of staying away from things. And Ryoko has had her baby now, which was really crazy because when that baby was crying and she was like, be quiet, and it just stopped, I didn't know what the heck that meant. If that meant that somehow the parasite, she took over the body of a parasite, and they say, based on what they said, it was kind of like, okay, well, the rest of the human body flows naturally and nothing changes. But based on this episode, that's not 100% true. And that was, I guess they didn't even really know where they came from. So I guess that was all kind of speculation. But that proves that that's not exactly the case. Like, we don't know exactly the full extent of what's going to happen with this baby. But so far, it follows commands. It's almost like Shinichi, or Migi, when Migi did the little clone thing, like, oh, I can detach from your body, and I can make clones of myself, but as they deteriorate, or as the clone, gets smaller and smaller in mass, they're less competent. So I feel like it's that sort of sense, and it's basically like moving on to the next thing, but as, that child, grows up and ends up having children or whatever, it won't deteriorate. It'll just be half human, half parasite. And I don't, who knows if it's going to be able to transform its full body or any of this type of stuff. But that was a crazy scene. She was just, bent down and was like, be quiet. And it just stopped. And of course, naturally, that freaked the lady out. Like, that makes sense. I'd be really freaked out. Because you don't tell a newborn baby to be quiet and it comprehends. That does not happen. And of course, her blank face doesn't really help anything either, because I thought she was just going to walk past her. At first, to be totally honest, I was like, she's just going to walk past her, and nothing's going to happen. She's just going to be weird and ignore her. But it got even crazier somehow, which, I guess I shouldn't be too surprised, but it got crazier. And I don't know what to think of that. And the show isn't going to go that far. It's not going to be skipping like 10 years and all this stuff, and we get to see what happens with this baby, I would assume. So I really don't know what to expect. I'm still looking forward to it because that was really crazy. But her hiring this PI, they have all these weird experiments going on, and it's like, we have this parasite that they have their little secret meeting, and it's like, oh, this parasite was greedy and stuff, and then it gets killed by someone else, and it's like, do you think it's a human? And then it's like, of course it is. It's, this guy's kid that we've been, it was a useful experiment for us, who could kind of give us a little bit of resource, considering his brain wasn't infected by the parasite, it was merely his hand, and they coexist. So her hiring this PI to get more information on him, I didn't think would lead to him being caught, until the end. Like, once he was there and the PI was there, I was like, oh, he's going to get busted. I knew for sure. And I didn't expect it to go the way that it did, where Shinichi and Migi have full-on confrontation in this episode. And I actually love that because we don't get to see that. When they're in fights, they work as a team and they have their conversations, which has been since the beginning, about, I'm going to tell, someone that I know. And then Migi basically threatens, like, if you do that, I'll kill them because I don't want to be taken off your hand because I die. Or, detached from you because I would die. And, excuse me, I think that came in full force in this episode, their confrontations, because it was done in a very different way. Migi even jumped off of Shinichi's body, which I didn't expect, and tried to take this guy down, and it didn't work. And, we had the end of the episode where we have Satomi, and she's trying to figure things out, and it's like, this, what was going on with Kana? What is it that you've been hiding, all this time? And he wants to tell her, but Migi's awake at this point, and, it's like, Migi's basically like, if you tell her anything, I'll, dice her up into little pieces. And he has to just hide it, because he didn't get his words out fast enough, and now she's kind of, pushed away from him even further. So I really love the way that they had confrontation in this episode, because it's not something that really showed up too much. At least, not in this, to this, very intense extent. It's always just been, if you tell somebody, I'll kill them. So that, that doesn't really come up, or that has come up a lot of different times, but we've never had that moment where they were actually dealing with that situation in the moment. It's always like, hypothetically, if you did this, I would do this. And they were right at the brink of that, where he couldn't say anything because he cares about this girl, and he doesn't, of course, want her to get, like, completely chopped up. So that made a ton of sense. And it was just an interesting moment. I don't know where it's going to lead to, but they're busted. Who knows what's going to happen with that. We still haven't really gotten anything from his friend just yet. And I completely forgot her name, but the girl that went up against Hideo, she still has that answer. And I feel like it's been so long that should have just been talked about, but it hasn't. And they mentioned, like, has your brother found out anything, stuff like that. And it's just, like, really weird. Like, it's crazy that she has such useful information. I kind of wonder if she's even told her brother, to be totally honest, because I feel like there should just be a scene where we see that happen, but it might not matter, in the end, what she found out with the whole paint thinner stuff. But every time I see her, like, I was surprised we even saw her, to be completely honest, so I'm pretty sure this is the first time we've even seen her since that episode, and it was just crazy. I was like, oh man, there she is, and it still never came up, this, weakness with the paint thinner. And I don't know if she's going to find out. She probably will, and that'll kind of give us the whole paint thinner thing, which I feel like has to come up, because that's the only, defense that we've seen so far against the parasites, outside of other parasites, and just a really good attack. Like, you have to, attack the body very well to, take them down. But that seems like a great defense. And so far, one character, possibly, maybe the cops do know about it. We still don't really know. But at this point, what we know for a fact is that one person knows that secret about the paint thinner being a great defense. So I'm still waiting for it. I feel like it has to come up, and it would be crazy if it never does. But I don't know. I really enjoyed this episode. I'm not sure what to expect from the private investigator. I'm sure he'll still go to Ryoko, and he doesn't have his camera because they took it, but obviously Ryoko is going to know the truth, like, alright, I already knew he could do this. So there might not exactly be a ton of information. I think Migi separating from Shinichi might be the biggest thing, but I don't know. I mean, it depends on what they know at this point, because we did have the episode where, with the parasite that killed Shinichi's mom, that parasite jumped from a female body to a male body, and had to go back. So we don't know if this big organization of parasites now has that sort of information already, or what they do know or what they don't know, because we aren't really getting information on what they're learning from day to day with other parasites. We don't know if they've gathered collectively and be like, all right, we can switch bodies, but only temporarily, because once we bond with this body, physiology, men and women totally different. So I don't know if they know those sort of facts, or if they know that they can. I mean, I don't think we even know if they can technically. I mean, Shinichi can be separated from Migi if Migi decides to jump off, but I don't think we've seen that yet. Outside of that one parasite that switched bodies completely, I don't think it's really going to end up being the same thing where they kind of take on their own little mass and just you know pop off for a little bit, and the body just stays behind and just plops to the ground, I guess. So I don't know if they can do that or not in general, but there are a lot of different questions going on with them. A very weird organization that they have, because it's just parasites working together, so it's really crazy. But I'm looking forward to this next episode. I wish I could watch it right now, but unfortunately, even though it's the next day, it's not on demand just yet. It's 2 days later, I guess, now. Still not on demand, so I have to wait for it, unfortunately. But I am really looking forward to the next episode. Of course, if you guys are watching this on Janami, you're past this episode, but I would still like to know what you guys thought about it, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. And the big question for this episode kind of has to be what you guys thought of Migi trying to kill the private investigator, because we haven't seen that happen before, where, once again, it was just like the conversation thing. They were in the actual situation. Normally it's just like, oh, well, if this happened, then we'd have to kill this person and stuff. And they always have the conversation like, oh, we shouldn't do this. And they basically just end everything the same way. Like, oh, well, we disagree. This was the moment where we saw that happen in two separate occasions. One was simply telling, and one was being found out. It was basically step one and step two of the same sort of situation, really. And I thought it was crazy. I didn't know that Migi had so much force that Shinichi would get dragged along and stuff. So I actually thought that was kind of cool, because when that happened, I didn't know at all that it was possible. So as soon as he was dragged the first time, I was like, oh, this guy's actually gonna get killed. And then Shinichi's gonna have that in his head, even though he had of course technically nothing to do with it. It would still be in his head that he couldn't have stopped Migi from doing it. And I thought for sure that was going to happen when Migi's just pulling him along, and he's like, trying to stop with his feet, but it's not working. But fortunately, the guy escapes. Maybe fortunately, I don't know. Like, at this point, I'm of course on Shinichi's side that the guy didn't need to die. And I guess it's because of the whole private investigator thing. All he'll do is go to the one person we knew he was going to go to, and that could be bad because of the whole separation thing. Like I said, that's probably the only thing they could really get from the attack, but that might be all they need. They're, learning. That's kind of the point. So, at this point, I am on Shinichi's side. I still don't think the guy is really going to cause too much harm, even if he's a going to Ryoko, but it was definitely a crazy one. And who knows what's going to happen with Satomi, and their relationship is probably it's going to be really crazy. He might get another chance once Migi falls asleep, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But I definitely want to know what you guys thought about Migi and Shinichi kind of fighting, to either kill this guy or save this guy's life, because that was just a crazy moment. I like visually how it looked too, where Migi was like a giant sort of mushy hand over the pole trying to pull Shinichi towards her. I'm still gonna say Migi's a girl because of the voice, but I did enjoy this episode. Like I said, want to know what you guys thought about it, so please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.